Welcome back everyone to another build showcase for Outer Worlds 2, where we finally dive into an explosive-oriented build. The time for my Outer Worlds 2 showcases is starting to come to an end, so it's time to start showing off the real game-breaking stuff that will completely trivialize the game for you, even on the hardest difficulties. My goal with this build was to create the feeling of being an absolute juggernaut death machine, standing in the middle of the fight, shrugging off all forms of damage, while spitting out a constant barrage of bullets and explosives. This is legitimately, by far, one of the most broken builds I've ever seen for any game. You will literally be entirely unkillable with what is effectively 3 health bars that are constantly regenerating, all the while spitting out disgusting amounts of AoE explosive damage that rips anything to shreds within seconds. And this isn't the kind of build that comes together in the final 3 hours or anything. This build dominates pretty much from level 14 until the very end of the game. As always, I will have the full leveling guide in the description. Now let's get to the foundation of the build, character creation. The character creation sets the tone for every build in this game. Background, as always, is up to you and who you want your unkillable death machine to be. Ex-convict, of course, can make a lot of sense as someone that just loves blowing things up, killing everything, and being an outright savage. Ex-convict also offers some of the most skill checks in the end of the game, although it does overlap a little with explosives. For traits, we will be going with the unique combo of lucky and resilient. To be quite honest with you, for this build you can go wild and go with whatever ones you would like, perhaps a few that you haven't tried yet. But I liked going with lucky for the extra crit chance and skill checks I can pass, and as for resilient, I just chose it to be within the theme of being unkillable. I've yet to use this trait because it kind of just delays death most of the time, but in this build you can rebuild your health bar via medical, science, and explosive damage in milliseconds, making you absolutely impossible to kill. I'm really not even exaggerating at all either. It is much harder to die with this build than it is to not die, as long as you are firing your gun. And of course, as always, we will be using the dumb trait because the others are much worse to play with. Before starting the skills section, I do want to mention this is another easily distracted build. Easily distracted is the ideal way to play in my opinion. So for those of you that do not know what easily distracted is, it is a flaw that if you follow my leveling guide perfectly, will pop up at level 4. Easily distracted will give you an extra stat point every level until the end of the game, which allows you to not only be a lot stronger in combat, but also pass more skill checks. The downside is that you will not be able to pick any other stats outside of the main 5. In this build, you will have no reason to, but if you do, you will absolutely destroy your build and be much weaker, because you'll be forced to level it up to the same as the rest of your stats. It's extremely crucial that you do not, under any circumstance, level any other stats. Your endgame skills should look something like this if you followed the guide in the description. For the first skill, let's talk about explosive, as it is uniquely the first time I've really used this skill on this channel. It's one of the weaker skills in the game to fully max out, but it very appropriately fits into this build, as our goal is simply to blow everyone to pieces. Pitch Tossball Winger gives us the ability to stagger enemies by hitting them with our grenades, which is fun and strong. It also adds more explosive damage. We also grab the perk Secret Recipe, which makes your explosives deal full damage in the entire blast zone, making your explosives much more consistent and powerful. Next up, of course, we do grab the best skill in the game, Speech. Speech at 18 lets you experience a full playthrough with options, so I always encourage grabbing it. But not only is 18 speech crucial to making decisions, it also means you'll be doing 90% more damage to humans, and gives you the ability to select the insanely powerful perks of Intimidator and Grim Visage. These 2 abilities will crowd control the entire battlefield in fear, which is very fitting for this absolute murder machine of a build, and it will also give you the added options in dialogue. Next up, we can go over guns. As always, we grab the absolute powerhouse early skills of Point Blank Artist and Serendipitous Slayer to pair with the Rattler that will allow us to get through the early game much easier. The goal with this build is to get to level 15 ASAP, acquire the pieces of Exodia, and then stomp the game. And these perks will help us do that. Additionally, we also grab Gunrunner because our primary weapon in this build will be an SMG, so this allows us to fly around terrorizing everyone without stopping. For similar reasons, we also grab Penetrating Shots to give us armor pen on our SMGs, and then we also grab the combo of deep drums and hail of lead, so we can just continuously spit explosive rounds downrange without any need for reloading, especially in combination with Serendipitous Slayer, which will automatically reload our SMGs on crit. Next up, we of course dip into Science to grab the extra gadget energy and the perk contingency screen, which will further ensure we never die. And for the fifth and last perk, we grab Medical, which I do not believe I have used yet on the channel, which is sort of weird because Medical is pretty damn strong. For Medical, we grab Farm Enthusiast. The decrease in toxicity is nice, but the ability to slot in 2 primers is even better, and really makes you much harder to kill. Inhaler Overload is an elite perk that lets us overcharge our healing to grant us significant bonuses in the forms of damage, armor, evasion, and movement speed, so that we can sprint about the map, absolutely decimating the world. Crash Recovery will make it so that if you are spamming your inhalers, then you get the benefits of still healing at a rate of 2% a second. And lastly, Lasting High will let you use your inhaler while crashing, which is really nice because we care more about the bonuses than the actual healing that it provides. So basically, you can stay a permanent drugged up super soldier that is getting constant health regeneration. As always, as far as flaws go, Overprepared is excellent for this build, and of course, we will be using Easily Distracted, which will make us much stronger, pass more skill checks, and come with basically no downsides, as long as you follow the leveling guide. One of the great things about this build is that it is very science heavy and will constantly be nearly full on energy. It also has plenty of means of survival, so you can forego using the shield to rip things apart with the N-Ray, or use time dilation if you would like. But to be honest, these are just not needed, because of how quickly you will tear things apart, so I just use the shield to ensure I have absolutely zero chance of death. For early game weapons, of course, I always recommend grabbing the Rattler from the store and using a plasma barrel for humans and wildlife, and use the shock machine gun from the armory for automechs, while traversing the first island. It really just does not get better than combining these two early on. But things do get more interesting later on when we get the ability to grab burst SMGs and assault rifles that we can equip with explosive rounds. Make sure to pick up one or both of these as soon as possible after acquiring our helmet of choice. Once you get these guns, you will find that later on you can go even further beyond with a auto spray SMG equipped with a double barrel and explosive rounds. As soon as you can acquire this weapon, you will pretty much make a mockery of the entire rest of the game, and it can be acquired immediately after leaving the second planet on the Auntie's Choice ship. And of course, what would an explosive build be without a true explosive weapon? That is where the pitchball machine comes into play. This is effectively a grenade launcher that scales up with how many pitchball cards you have found. It's nearly as strong as using the auto spray SMG, so it can be used as a change of pace if you get bored. I also do recommend keeping a more precise weapon on you for enemies that are far away and hiding behind cover. I'll let you decide what you want that to be, but I decided to use a LMG when playing myself, because it just felt right and it also absolutely shreds. Another fun choice worth mentioning is the Big Bang, which you can use with any build, but since if you're here, you probably like explosions, I figured that it's worth mentioning. It's quite honestly not super strong, but it is pretty fun to use, and you can get an achievement for killing 3 people with a single shot of it. Next up is the helmet that makes the entire build go and is quite possibly the single strongest piece of equipment in the entire game. This is, of course, the Bomb Suit Helmet. The Bomb Suit Helmet gives us a base health boost, but more importantly comes with the insanely overpowered passive, Lit Fuse. Lit Fuse turns all of your explosive damage into temporary health, so you can see why this becomes pretty busted when used in combination with explosive rounds. Then to really top it off and turn this build into a completely absurd juggernaut, we will also go with the Calorie Counter. I really wanted to find an excuse to use this armor somewhere because I think it's really insane and looks cool, but heavy armor really isn't the best generally. Luckily in this build it fits perfectly by making you even more impossible to kill by using your inhaler and medical skill to pretty much ensure you always have gadget energy for your shield. If you want, you can really use whatever armor you would like, but this armor just matches perfectly both aesthetically and thematically by making you invincible. The helmet plus the armor plus the shielding plus the resilient trait plus strong medical perks will quite literally make it actually impossible for you to die as long as you are actively shooting at an enemy. Companions really do not matter much for this build as you will be cruising through everything before they can even use their abilities. But for that reason, it's not bad to have Aza for her passive explosive damage along in the party, and Marisol is never a bad choice to eliminate bosses even faster. Additionally, you could also bring Val along to absolutely positively ensure that you will never see the death screen once in your entire playthrough. I will have more builds for RPGs on the way, so if you like this one, be sure to like and subscribe for more. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.